Welcome back to Mabie Island. I'm Gaga.
And I'm Papa. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe and turn on the bell notification. Make sure to watch till the end and don't skip the ads.
We always tell you to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Mabie Island. But are you following us on TikTok?
So Islanders, tell us where you're watching from. We love to know where in the world you're watching from. We're going to give a shout out this time to Spain, Greece, and Argentina.
And I'd like to do a special shout out to username TikToks. You know who you are. If you would like a special message from me when you subscribe, write in the comments, I'm an Islander now, and I'll leave a special message for you.
Okay guys, today we are going to be doing an absolute lyric breakdown of Exile. Now, this is written by Taylor Swift, Bon Iver, and William Bowery. And if you don't know who William Bowery is, that's actually Joe Allen, her long-term boyfriend. And this was written in 2020 during the pandemic. So, are you guys ready?
I think so.
We are ready.
Someone commented on TikTok, do you all listen to the song? We definitely listen to the song over and over. We get very familiar with the way the music and the lyrics are tied together and the dramatic effect of it. So yes, we definitely listen to the song.
And Gaga, what's different about this song as opposed to all the others we've done? This is a song, it's a duet, but one person, the man, is telling his part of why the relationship failed, and then she's telling her part. But it's not about any particular person that Taylor has been with. It's just about a story about a failed relationship.
I would say, in a nutshell, failed communication.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
Absolutely. And Islanders, Gaga and I have been married so long, we have been where they have been. And at times we continue to be that way. But we're going to talk a little bit about why relationships succeed and why they don't. So here we go. From here on out, we are going to refer to Bon Iver as Justin Vernon. And it starts with, I can see you standing, honey, with his arms around your body, laughing. But the joke's not funny at all. It took you a whole 5 minutes to pack us up and leave me with it, holding all this love out here in the hall.
So I think here he sees his ex-girlfriend with somebody new.
She's already moved on.
She's moved on, and she left him very quickly, and he was filled with pain and jealousy, I think, and he was confused by how she could do that to him.
Okay.
There's a line right here, holding all this love out here in the hall, and so I'm thinking it's almost like she threw him out, and he's standing out there thinking, what happened?
What happened?
What happened?
And he goes on to say, I think I've seen this film before, and I don't like the ending. You're not my homeland anymore, so what am I defending? You were my town. Now I'm in exile, seeing you out. I think I've seen this film before. So Gaga, you have some thoughts on that, especially also, what is the definition of exile?
Well, exile means that you've been barred from your home country.
Okay.
And I think she's using this as a word picture. You think of it usually in political terms, but vision him standing in the hall.
Uh-huh.
He's in exile. He's been barred from her.
He says, I think I've seen this film before. Is he suggesting that perhaps he has had past relationships that have failed as well?
Probably.
Okay.
I would say so. And she was his everything and his reason to live. It's the impression you get.
And he says, so why am I defending now? If somebody was in exile, they would defend their kingdom if they were thrown out of the country or something. He's saying,
right. Well, you hear about it like a king. Like
right.
A king has been exiled from his country. So maybe he felt like he was the king in this situation, and that's how she made him feel.
All right.
And now he's not even in the country.
Islanders, we had to listen to the music to determine who sang where, and sometimes they sing together. But this is Taylor
But this
now.
is Taylor now, these lines. I can see you staring, honey, like he's just your understudy, like you get your knuckles bloody for me. Second, third, and 100th chances, balancing on breaking branches. Wow, what a lyric. Those eyes add insult to injury.
So she's saying, well, you're all angry now that I'm with somebody else, but I gave you second, third, and 100 chances. And it didn't work. You didn't take advantage of them.
She is thinking he would probably fight for her, but she knows because of their past relationship that as much as she's tried to communicate what she wants from him, he hasn't been able to deliver. These two really like each other. They probably enjoy each other, but when it got to be more serious, they realized they really didn't have that much in common or were not able to communicate on the same plane.
And then she goes into the chorus again.
I think I've seen this film before, and I didn't like the ending. I'm not your problem anymore, so who am I offending now? You were my crown. Now I'm in exile, seeing you out. I think I've seen this film before, so I'm leaving out the side door.
She's saying, I'm breaking this off.
She is.
You were my crown, you were my hero, but I'm not your problem anymore because I'm out the side door, right?
Right. So the first part of the song is his viewpoint of what's going on.
Right.
And the second part is her viewpoint. And so they're both kind of trying to sell the audience on where they were coming from.
Right.
Now in the next verse, you hear a dramatic change in the music
Yes,
also.
you do.
And there it steps up quite a bit.
Right. Now things dramatically change.
Yes.
And they talk about why this relationship failed. And he says, Justin says, so step right out. There's no amount of crying I can do for you. All this time, we always walked a very thin line. What does that tell you? We always walked a very thin line.
It means the relationship was based on a very thin basis. It just wasn't good from the beginning. They were trying to make it work.
Do you think it was a physical attraction?
Possibly.
Probably. And Islanders,
Possibly.
you can be physically attracted to somebody. And that's what you're supposed to be. But there's got to be more than that. There's got to be more than that. He goes on to say, you didn't even hear me out. And she says,
You didn't even hear me out.
Justin says, you never gave a warning sign.
I gave so many signs.
Islanders, this is where I wonder, who's at fault here?
Like we've mentioned before, I think for men, they think in black and white terms. They think, well, I did this. I'm taking care of them. I'm buying the groceries. You know, I have the job and I'm bringing home the bacon. And that should be enough.
And that should be enough. But for a woman, that's not enough.
It's not enough.
She says men think in black and white, women think in colors. So it's different. And yes, you're doing a great thing by doing that, and maybe she's sharing the load and she's working too. But there are feelings involved. There were signs here, signs there, but did they ever sit down and talk? Because one of the keys, Islanders, is Gaga and I used to go with couples retreats too, where we would have people that talked about long-term relationships. Mm-hmm. And one of the things they said is, don't hesitate to say, when you do this, it makes me feel this way. Right. That's not a sign.
It's not an attack on the other person either.
No.
It's talking about your feelings.
Right.
So you're not attacking someone. You're saying, when you do this, it makes me feel this way. So that's kind of a good thing to establish in your conversation with your loved one. Don't lead with an attack. It doesn't work.
And sometimes men don't pick up on women's signs and vice versa.
Well, I think you said, did you expect me to read your mind? And I guess if the ladies have a shortcoming, they kind of do. You know, give a look or have a little thing that bothers them, but they don't tell their partner, then they're going to get in trouble because they're not communicating on the same wavelength.
I never learned to read your mind, and Taylor says,
never learned to read my mind.
I couldn't turn things around.
You never turn things around.
Because you never gave a warning.
I gave so many signs.
And then they both say, so many signs, so many signs. You didn't even see the signs. So, Gaga, I don't know that one or the other is at fault here. Perhaps both of them were.
Or neither of them were. They just were not able to communicate on a viable level.
Right,
to establish a relationship. One thing for sure is you have to be concerned about how you're making the other person feel.
Right.
And less concerned with how you feel.
People tend to think, and it's only natural, well, this makes me feel this way. And they don't think, how does it make my partner feel?
Right.
And you got to do more than leave a sign. You got to talk about it.
Yeah.
And we've been married over 50 years, and we still have to talk about it. Yes. We still have to. And sometimes the conversations are constructively creative. But we still have to talk about it. People say, oh, well, after 10 years of marriage, you can go on cruise control. No.
No, you can't. You never can.
You never can.
You have to work at it every day. All day.
Then they go on to say, both of them, "You're not my homeland anymore, so what am I defending? I think I've seen this film before, so I'm leaving out the side door." That's Taylor saying that.
So the homeland, or the home, which is when you think of your home, you think of it as your place of comfort.
Right.
You know, it's where you're comfortable. He's saying, where do I go from here? He feels cast out. It's sad, and it's over, and he's kind of leaving defeated. Or maybe they both are.
I think to some degree they both are, because they both say the line, "I think I've seen this film before and I didn't like the ending." I think they both are feeling that. And it makes me think that they both had past relationships that have not succeeded.
Agreed. I wanted to mention here that when I'm reading a part and he's reading a part, in the song there are these layered harmonies that are just gorgeous.
Yes, they
it's
are.
such
Yes,
a
they
beautiful
are.
song. I could listen to it all day long. Even though it's kind of sad, it reaches in and grabs your heart and squeezes it, because I think all of us have had a situation where we felt like our heart was breaking,
Right.
where we couldn't make it work and had to leave by the side door.
Taylor admits that she's had relationships that have not worked out.
Well, everybody has.
Everybody
has.
And I think now, from what we hear, she's in a pretty good place with Joe Alwyn, and we hope that works out. Islanders, I will tell you, if you're in a relationship, the silent treatment, where, if something doesn't go right, and you just go off and you don't say anything, and you expect them to figure out why you're...
Read your mind.
Yeah. No.
Sulking.
One of the wonderful things
Childish.
about being married to Gaga is she's not silent. And so she speaks her mind, and that's better. That's better. We can work with that. We can move on from that. So
You never wonder what I'm thinking, do you?
So then there's quite a bit of repetition now after this. So step right out. There's no amount of crying I can do for you. We always walked a very thin line.
I think she gave up trying to get through to him,
Yeah.
trying to teach him what she needed.
Right.
He just couldn't quite hear it, and apparently she couldn't give in to whatever it was he needed. So
This is a sad song. We enjoyed doing it because we could identify, perhaps, with some of the things they could have done differently.
it's a beautiful song. It's
beautiful.
painful. It elicits a feeling of pain because everybody's had that feeling of having been left at one time or another. It's a good thing to learn from.
Absolutely.
I think they did an excellent job. Taylor did an excellent job. Justin's harmonies and his voice were just so interesting, and
Right.
loved it. Loved it.
Wow, I'm just in awe of that breakdown. I'm obsessed. That was amazing. You guys are my parents, but I never get tired of hearing your advice and thoughts. So I have a question. At the beginning of the song, it sounds like she and he are both talking about the fact that maybe she's moved on, his arms around your body, and then she says, "I can see you staring like he's your understudy." What do you guys think about that? What situation do you see them in? Are they at a party? Do they have the same circle of friends? Does she have a new boyfriend? What do you think about those lyrics?
I kind of think they may have had an apartment in the same building. I'm just making this up, but in my mind, this is what I thought. And that maybe this guy was bringing her home, the new guy, and her old boyfriend stepped out into the hall, and she saw him, and he saw her, and that's where those lyrics were derived.
I think that's good. And Islanders, what do you think?
But Islanders, don't think the new guy is the source of the breakup. I think there was some miscommunication, because at one point, Taylor says, "You are my crown." So I think when they first met, they were really attracted to each other. The communication skills just weren't there.
There was another line I really liked too, was balancing on breaking branches. If you're in a tree and you're balancing on a breaking branch, you're taking, it's a weak place to stand. And so it seemed like they always knew that they didn't quite fit.
You're exactly right, because they said we always walked a very thin line.
Yeah.
You're right.
So last question I have either of you ever felt like you were in exile in a relationship, whether it be a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, work relationship, whatever it may be, a friendship? Did you ever feel like you were in exile, and how did you overcome it?
I have had a couple of situations in the workforce where a supervisor would come down on me, I thought unfairly, and you almost felt like an exile. You think, God, am I really that bad or whatever? But what I did in both cases is muster up the strength to go talk to them. In both cases, they said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you feel that way."
So
and
that's communication.
that's communication.
And if you hadn't said that, he couldn't have apologized.
Right.
So you have to be courageous sometimes and ask more questions.
Yes.
You know, you don't have to be offensive in the way you do it, but, you know, if it's bothering you, maybe you should find out why they said what they said.
Right.
Okay, we are to the question that everyone wants to know. As far as the song Exile by Taylor Swift, Justin Vernon, William Bowery, aka Joe Alwyn goes,
Yes.
what would you give this star rating? 1 being the worst, 5 being the best.
I would give this a 5. And I'll tell you, it was just beautifully done. I loved the intro. I loved Justin's singing part. It was so different from other things that Taylor has done. And I love the interwoven harmonies, how they're almost singing over each other. It's just a beautiful song. What would you rate it, Papa?
I would rate it a 5 for entirely different reasons.
Oh.
I agree with everything Gaga said, but for Taylor, in the past, has written very good songs about relationships that actually happened to her, and she wrote it down in her diaries and then would go back and create a song. This song is not that we know of about any particular relationship. She could be describing millions of relationships in America right now and around the world of couples that for one reason or another expect the other to read the signs, but they really don't communicate with each other.
Right.
So she did a masterful job
I agree.
in the writing, and I have to give it a 5 as well.
You almost sound like a Swiftie.
Well, I didn't say I wasn't.
Okay, we're getting somewhere.
We love to hear your comments and content ideas. Just remember, never skip the ads.
Because that's what keeps us on the air.
Yeah.
And we will see you all next time. As we always like to say, it's nice to know.
So many nice people.
Bye.